Okay, good evening and welcome to Iyun to lean on. We're doing Simon Kuftet Zayin, 116 Arachayim. It's a very short simon. It talks about the bracha of Rafa'inu and Shmon Esrei. The actual halacha, the one halacha over here, pertains to justifying why the Nisach of Tefillah is in the plural, even though the pasuk, which is taken from, is in the singular. How you can take singular and make it into plural. I'm addressing over here what the Mishnah Berurah talks about, a separate halacha, which we're more familiar with, but it's just the hiratzon that a lot of people add in the bracha or if any you want to daven for a specific person. So you say ploni ben ploni, right? So sharkol Yisrael, who was an eshro zaguf, and you say the person's name, ploni ben the mother's name you say for a sick person. When you're davening for Yeshua, you say the mother's name. However, when you're in the presence of the sick person, so then you don't have to mention his name. Why is that? When you're in the presence of the person, you don't have to mention his name at all. And not even not mentioning the mother, you don't have to mention his name at all. So, what is this based on? I believe this from a Gemara, but it's quoted here in the Eliyahu Rabbah's name. I'm not sure if it's in the Gemara or not, but the whole concept of refuah is a very hard concept for me to understand, to be honest with you. It's meaning a lot of things are like this. I mean, we daven for a lot of things, a lot of common things that people daven to Hashem for. Refuah is one of those things. Yeshuos. If you want to have a child, you want to get married. Those are some common things you daven for. You want to have parnasa. You want to have money. You want to have health. Refuah. Or you're sick. You want to daven. You should be healed. So all these things that we daven for, those are the most common types of things that people daven for. They need all the time. So I mentioned many times that I don't believe the way the world works is that because you daven, you're going to get it. If you wouldn't have davened, you wouldn't have got. I saw this question. They asked Rabbi Victor Miller this question. I think. What happened? Meaning, is it preordained? Meaning, if I don't daven for something, it's because I daven for something that I got it. What if I didn't daven for it? Would I get it anyway? We'll never know the answer to the question because sometimes you get things without davening, and sometimes you daven for something you don't get it. Sometimes you daven for something and you get it. So you got it. So you can attribute it to the tefillah. A lot of times, they ask Gadol and they say, "How come Hashem not listening to my tefillos? I asked for refuah, I asked for children, and Hashem didn't give it to me." So the classic answer of Gedolim, the Panovich Rav, I think actually said this. I'm sure other Gedolim also said it. Hashem did answer your tefillas. He said no. So I don't know if I agree with this. I echoing the opinion of Ben Shapiro versus Panovich Rav. I mean, but it's Ben Sion Lang who's being machriya over here. So maybe I have some validity. I think the world is preordained. The only thing that we have control over is our bechira. That is free will. That's the only thing we call free will. The only thing free is your will, is your decision making. That's the only thing you can control. You might think you control a lot of things, but ultimately what happens, you might change your mind. You didn't realize you changed your mind. Hashem changed your mind for you, or it was written into the fabric of this world that your mind would be changed. We're like robots in a certain sense. And the only thing we're not like robots is that we have free will. For whatever time we have free will. You have free will until there's either one of two options. Either you give up your free will. You decide it's too hard to make decisions, right? One of the hardest things in life is making decisions. So you can give up making your decision making. And then you can become like a remote control where you think like you just do things. You're not really thinking. A lot of people go through this and they'd rather not have to make a decision. That's why a lot of people, I think so much people like rely on Das Torah now. I think the reason it has so much power, Das Torah, is because people don't want to make their own decisions. Just ask a rabbi. You ask a rabbi, not just halakha. You got to ask him about advice in life. If you don't like what he says, don't follow it. So it's an easy way out. If the rabbi said it, so it must be it's the right. People don't like making their own decisions. That's a problem. You got to make a decision. That's the whole point we're living. Life is a game, right? The game is who's the best decision maker. That's really what the game is, Jews, non-Jews. You're living for the first time. You're not in a Gilgal here. Some people here A lot of people in this world are Gilgulim, but some people are here in their first time. When you're here the first time, at least the first time you have the ability to make decisions, got to use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. So you lose it. I mean, maybe once in a while you'll feel like you're making decisions. You're really lost at decision making. The other option is like A.B. Rodenberg says, you get the train. You can take the train to the end of the line, right? If you don't lose your train of thought, right? Train of thought, right? You keep your decision making and you make decisions. And if you make a wrong decision, you do tshuva. You immediately realize you did something wrong. You regret it. You really wish you wouldn't have done it. And continue on. Tshuva works. David Hashem Ori. Tshuva is an amazing thing. It keeps us on a tightrope of life. Tightrope. Bridge. Gesher Tzarmo is like the Walenda brothers. You got to walk a tightrope. Can't make any mistakes. But eventually you get to the end of the line. If you're able to get there, however far you can get, it's still pretty good if you kept it for a long time. So that's the only thing we really control in life. So if that's the only thing we really control in our lives, everything's preordained. So what are we davening for? And that's based on that assumption that everything's preordained. So what's the point of tefillah? The point of tefillah, so I give a different explanation for tefillah. The point of tefillah is that we talk about general things in the bakashos that most people need or want, to remind us of how, right, and part of making a decision, right, is ishtadlus. You have to try to do it. You make a decision and you try to, say or do what you have to do, right? Ultimately, the outcome is not up to you, but that's part of decision making, is trying to do what you set out to do. So the first part is making the decision or planning what you need to do, and that's what tefillah is, a contemplative time to contemplate where you are in life, where you need to get to, what your positive attributes are. Tefillah is a positive time. Think about your positive things and how you plan on getting to where you need to go to. So if you need parnasa, what decision do I make? What job should I go after? If I want to have children, it's hard for me to have children. What should be my next course of action? Which fertility should I use fertility treatment? Should I not use fertility treatment? If I'm sick or I need a refuah, so should I go to a doctor? Should I not go to a doctor? Which doctor should I go to? So that's part of tefillah. Tefillah is, the prerequisite for making a decision. You have to contemplate it. And the first part of Ishtadlus is to make the decision. The second part of Ishtadlus is to try to execute that. So tefillah is for the planning part of the Ishtadlus. So for everything in life, with the exception of refuah, the reason I'm talking about this is because I want to tie it back to refuah. With the exception of refuah, of getting a healing, generally, we say it's siyata d'shmaya. Now, when we say siyata d'shmaya, it means it's in heaven's hands and Hashem's hands. Like I mentioned, it's not because you daven and Hashem's giving it to you. It's preordained anyway. So it's supernatural, really. Like whether you get, not supernatural, but it's just part of the genetics of the world. It's part of, Hashem, wrote out the instructions for this world before it was created. Whatever was going to happen from the first day of creation to the end of the world, it's already written down. It's definitely going to be happening. Hashem knows what's going to happen. So at the end of the day, you daven for, you didn't daven, you got it, you didn't get it. The point of tefillah has nothing to do with that. When it comes to other Yeshuos, so, there's nothing special in Chazal to say about that. But however, when it comes to refuah, the Chazal make a very cryptic comment, which is based on a pasuk in the Torah. The Torah says, when you're mazik someone, you commit damage, physical damage to someone, shifto yitin v'rapo yirape. Right? You have to pay 5 types of damages to someone you injured. One of them is to pay for his medical bills. V'rapo yirape, the Gemara in Bava Kama explains that mikan shenitna reshus larofe larapos, that from this pasuk, right? If I didn't have this pasuk in the Torah, it tells me I have to pay the medical bill, I pay the doctor. I would think paying the doctor is a waste of time. Doctors have no power. Shenitna reshus larofe larapos, it gives domain. That the way I explained it to my Rosh Hashiva, he didn't explain it to me, I explained it to him, is that the domain of refuah was given over to doctors. Now, what does that mean? The domain of refuah was given over to doctors. Meaning, the Torah is justifying why you have to pay a doctor, because the doctor is helpful over here. Meaning, all the Torah is saying is that the right ishtadlus, when someone's sick, right, you go to a doctor, right? That's the way of the world. The way of the world is the right ishtadlus. The Torah is telling the right ishtadlus If you have a medical problem and it's bothering you, I'm not saying every little scrape to run to the doctor, but if it's a problem and it's bothering you, the way to take care of it, the natural means, the correct ishtadlus, right? We're always trying to find ishtadlus. You have to do the correct ishtadlus. Do every ishtadlus has to be decision making. What the correct ishtadlus is to be. It's part of tefillah. That's what tefillah is, to make the right decision. So the Torah is telling you the right decision by medical situations that are severe. You go to the doctor. You go to the doctor. Um, so when it comes to refuah, what are you asking Hashem for, right? We know what the answer is. The answer is go to the doctor. So what do you mean a bracha in Shemona Esrei, right? Rafeh Hashem b'nei Rafeh, right? The reason I explain we're talking about these things is because to make ishtadlus. What do you mean go to the doctor? So you could say maybe it means decide which is the best doctor to go to, but I like to say an idea over here is that the Gemara says that the Gemara says in Megillah by Megillah's Esther, it says that Hashem gave the refuah kodem lamaka. That's what it says. Hashem, when Mordechai found out about Big Son Viseresh, so therefore it says that he found out about them before we found out about Haman, because Haman was the Makkah. The refuah was the fact that he did this favor for the king, and therefore the Klal Yisrael was saved because he read the Sefer Zichronos. He read the favor and he repaid Mordechai, so Haman was ultimately doomed because of that. So the refuah was Kodem Lamaka, but it's a Chazal, refuah Kodem Lamaka. What is the Makkah? The Makkah talking about? I mean, there's a Makkah in the world. Is there such thing as a Makkah? What Makkah are we talking about? So I think the two ideas, what I've been talking about now, about free will and this Chazal about refuah Kodem Lamaka, are very interwoven, meaning I don't know this for sure. This is all speculation. I can't tell you if this is 100% true because I'm living right now. I've never died. I don't know what it's like after death. Anyone who tells you that they were dead and they know like after death, they didn't really die. They came back to life. They didn't really fully die. So there's no way of knowing. I mean, those videos on YouTube where they had these, they died but didn't die, came back to life. Those experiences, what they tell you. The Gemara talks about experiences like that, but we don't really know what it's like. No one knows what it's like after you die. We know there's a concept of Gilgulim, that you come back as a reincarnation, come back as a reincarnation of a person, reincarnation of an animal, reincarnation as a brick. I don't know. I mean, I think the Zohar talks about things like that. I don't really know exactly. I don't delve into this too deeply, but I know the concept exists. At least I believe in it. I mean, so does Hinduism. They also believe in reincarnation, but Judaism, I think, generally believes in reincarnation. At least the Kabbalistic part of it tells you there is such a thing. So, Refuah Kodem Lamaka, apparently when you die, there's a Makkah. Now, how bad that Makkah is, how terrible that Makkah is, largely depends on the extent to which you did or didn't use your free will. That's what I'm surmising. But there is a possibility of refuah Kodem Lamaka. You could have a refuah before the Makkah. How could you have a refuah before the Makkah? If you, like A.B. Rodenberg said, you took the train to the end of the line. If you held on to that decision making and you made the correct decisions enough, or when you made a wrong decision, you did tshuva, you made the right decision, you fixed it, you regretted and you moved on and you learned from it, so you can get the refuah Kodem Lamaka. Because, they talk about Christianity, they talk about a concept called original sin. I know I'm digressing over here. This is sounds like one of my hashkafa shiurim, but hey, it's Leil Hoshana Rabbah. I mean, this is the right time to talk about this, right? It's spooky time, Hoshana Rabbah. No one knows we're staying at Kabbalah, they stay up all night. I don't stay up all night. So I think the idea is that, you get that makkah after you die. If you have a refuah, meaning we don't think of it like Shari Tshuva describes the state of a human being. He says Tshuva is like, they opened up a tunnel, they tunneled out of jail, and they said the tunnel is here, you can get out of jail. That's what Tshuva is. So if you take that mashal literally, it means that we're born in jail. What? Born in jail? That's how Seinfeld ends. They're in jail. Meaning, we're born into jail. We're born as slaves. We don't realize this. We're born Life seems great when you're young, but as you get older, it gets worse and worse, and you realize the weight, the yoke that you have. You're a slave, basically. You're born as a prisoner, and the only way, and you're born as a sick person, a very sick prisoner, and that'll only be realized to you after you die how sick and how much of a prisoner you were. I think this is part of Avram Avinu was taught about, when he had the um, Bris Ben Absarim, where he had the darkness, the 400 years in Mitzrayim. It's a reality. I mean, Mitzrayim is not literally just Egypt. It's every person has their Mitzrayim, and they're born into this jail. You're born into a jail. You're born as an Eved. Christianity talks about original sin. Um, I don't know, it means you sin, but this is the way it is. You're born. You have to, we believe Olam Haba is an amazing, amazing thing. Chias Mason, maybe even better. So what this world is considered is Zelu Umat Zeh, the Gemara says. Everything has to be fair. So if you want to get to Olam Haba, either you got to earn it, and the Raful Kodem Lamaka. You have to use it. That's the point of life, to be a great decision maker. If you can be a great decision maker, maybe you can avoid the Makkah, or Raful Kodem Lamaka. And if, unfortunately, you don't use your free will properly, you don't make your proper decisions in life, or you give it up, even worse, you give it up, so then you never really fixed anything, and you die as a slave, you die in Mitzrayim, you die a prisoner, and you're in prison after your life, and you get a makkah. It's not good to be in prison. Not that I've been in prison, but when I hear it, it's not a fun thing to be in prison. So the point is that this is an interesting chazal. It says Raful Kohen Lamaka, as in regards to the Megillas Esther, but I believe it's true even in regards to the point of life. The point of life, it's a game. That's what life is. It's a game. Who's the best decision maker? That's what it is. Everyone has a chance. All the billion or trillion people that lived throughout I don't know how many years this world has been. I'm not going to speculate about that right now, but everyone who's born their first time gets that chance. You don't lose. You lose it. Your life is over. I don't know exactly what happens after you, but it's not good. So, but you have the chance to refuah on lamaka, and I think that's what Chazal were talking about when they said Mikan Shinin Roshus Arofe Larapos. It's talking about a doctor, but it's also talking about an individual. Mikan Shinin Roshus Arofe Larapos, that you have it within you, right, to heal yourself. And really, that's the bracha of Rafa'inu. The bracha of Rafa'inu is not talking about when you're sick, going to the doctor, because that's obvious. You're sick, you go to the doctor. That's also part of Chazal saying that's the drasha. It explains why you have to pay the medical bills, because you should be going to the doctor. But on a deeper level, the sod, is that you should be your own healer, right? You're in control. You have that ability. You have that free will. You exercise that, you'll get your refuah, kodem lamaka. You'll get free from prison. You'll free yourself from the prison that you were born into. Like Shari Shuvas, you'll tunnel out of prison, like in Shawshank Redemption. You'll end up in the Bahamas, wherever he ended up with his sailboat. I don't know, Andy Dufresne, but you'll get out of prison. You'll get out of prison if you use that. And that's why, it's in Shemona Esrei. It's just like anything else. It's up to you. Right? It's not telling you go to the doctor. It's not telling you heal us. Right? We know that the Hashtadlus is go to the doctor. That's obvious. But the chiddush of the bracha of Rafa'inu is that it's in our control also. It's also our Ishtadlus to merape ourselves, to give us a healing. How do you heal yourself? You use your koach habachira, your decision making, your free will, and you escape that prison, you escape that slave, and then you avoid the makkah, refuah kodem lamaka. You get the refuah before the makkah happens. I hope we're all zocheh to get that refuah kodem lamaka and get out of prison, because it's not fun. Life is not a fun thing. Maybe some people when they're younger, they think it's amazing life, but as you get older, now I'm already 40 years old, I realize it gets harder and harder life. And it starts wearing on you, and you realize you're really living as a prisoner, even in this world. You can't really enjoy this world until you get out of prison. Hopefully we'll all get out of prison this year. The Gula Shleimah, Hirav Yameinu, Amen. Have a good night.